And we start with breaking news. The Senate is set to pass the president's tax cut deal as early as tomorrow.
Well, senators taking a key procedural vote at this hour ahead of a final vote in the next day or two. Now, here's what we have. Overwhelming Senate support of the bill. That'll put pressure possibly on Democrats in the House who want to change the death tax provision.
Let's get reaction now from a lawmaker who has already cast his vote, Republican Senator Gregg of New Hampshire. Well, Senator Gregg, this tax bill comes at a cost. A lot more unemployment insurance, of course, but also all these add-ons like a new ethanol subsidy or more money to the ethanol subsidy that is of limited value. Is all that cost worth it?
Yes. You know, if we were to raise taxes at this time in this economic situation, there's no question it would have a huge dampening effect on this economy. Furthermore, I don't happen to be a big fan of raising taxes, period. You know, we're not an overtaxed society or an undertaxed society. We're an overspending society. And as a very practical matter, if you want to get your hands on the out-year deficit, you've got to address spending. You've got to address fundamental tax reform, which is to change the whole way we tax in this country by reducing the number of deductions and exemptions and radically reducing rates on everybody. But as a very practical matter, this argument of whether you should take taxes from 35 to 39% or 39 to 42%, I don't buy into that. I don't buy into, first, the class warfare, and I don't buy into the fact that we should take people's money simply because they earn it. It's their money. It's not Washington's money.
Senator, we're told right now that the vote is in the high 50s, just to keep people updated on exactly what's going on. But does it perplex you? Because it certainly does a lot of people who watched leading up to the midterm elections how many Republicans said you must extend the Bush tax cuts. And now I can't tell you the parade of Republicans, particularly in the House, who have come on our program and suddenly said, no, we're not going to vote for this thing. And then suddenly now it's about we need to cut spending, et cetera. And sometimes some of us feel like saying, well, which is it, you guys?
Yeah, well, I think we need to govern. That's the starting point. Unfortunately, you can't stand in the corners and shout in this business and get anything done. This country is in a very tentative situation economically. I look at it as a two-step dance. We have to get over this slow economy, and one way to do that is not raise taxes in the middle of this slowdown. And then on the long run, we have to put in place very substantive action to bring the long-term debt and deficit down, which, by the way, there was a pretty good proposal. I served on the Deficit Commission, and the proposal brought forward by Senator Simpson and Erskine Bowles is a good, very significant step in that direction. So let's get the economy moving by extending these tax policies, and then let's pass the Erskine-Bowles Commission report, which would take $4 trillion out of the long-term debt.
I couldn't agree more. There is nothing worse than, particularly in a jobs recession, to raise taxes. Nothing worse. You don't want to tax people who are creating jobs because they might use that money to create jobs. On the other hand, everything comes at a cost. Do you know how much the add-ons from Democrats are going to add up to in this tax bill?
Well, the primary cost of this bill is not the add-ons. It's the calculation of the taxes if you were to presume that they should go up. I don't happen to presume they should go up. Therefore, I do not give people credit for that as an add-on. But the unemployment insurance is about $59 billion. The ethanol subsidies, I'm not absolutely sure of that number, but I presume it's in the tens of billions of dollars. Those are the two primary ones that are not tax related.
Okay. By the way, excuse me for interrupting, Senator. I just want to let you know we have hit the number 60. 60 ayes in the Senate. Of course, it is still open. People can change their votes. But with 60 ayes, it is clear that this thing is going to pass. Go ahead.
That's correct. This is a procedural vote. It's called a cloture vote. And once it gets over 60 votes, then the debate on the bill stops, and you have the ability to not move the bill forward through debate, through stopping it through debate. The filibuster ends, and you move forward on the actual bill. There's 30 hours of post-closure time, and then we'll get the final passage sometime tomorrow,
Senator,
I presume.
what would you say to Marsha Blackburn, the Republican from Tennessee, who was here on Fox Business, who said she would not vote for extending the tax cuts? I think that there's so much confusion now with voters who really wanted some clarity, and business people, our viewership, of course, the people in the C-suite saying, we don't know what our tax rates are going to be. We really need some visibility here.
Well, you know, I think it is critical, and your point is excellent, that there has to be some level of certainty in tax policy, because otherwise you end up with people not making investments, and that further slows the economy because they don't know what their taxes are going to be. Thus, extending these tax policies for 2 years is a good effort in the area of keeping the economy going, and hopefully this nascent growth that we're seeing will expand. Republicans who have angst here, I understand that. You know, I've been voting to try to get this deficit under control ever since I've been here. We're pushing this rock up the hill. But at some point, you got to recognize that we need to govern. You know, and this is an opportunity to do that pretty much on our playing field, because we're interested in extending these tax policies. And yes, we're going to get the unemployment insurance extension, but we'd like it to be paid with. But that was part of the agreement. You got to expect the White House to come to the table with what they want, and so it was a negotiated settlement. We're going into a period of divided government here, and we've got two choices. We can either not govern, which I think would be a disaster, or we can pick areas where we can reach understanding with this presidency and govern. And I think the second course is the better course for this nation.
Thank you so much, Senator. Good to see you, and keep on doing the good work with the Deficit Commission. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you.
Let's continue our discussion.